Hi there, you guys are tuning in with IdeateTV. My name is Isabelle and I'm here with David Ono, eyewitness ABC News anchor here. Now, have you gotten into the whole blogging sphere there?
I've blogged in the past on the ABC7 website, not recently though. I'm just learning Facebook, and I've never done Twitter, even though I have a Twitter account. But I'm going to learn. I promise I'm going to learn, because I realize I do know the importance of them. I am just kind of slow to the game and slow and integrating it into my normal everyday life. But I promise you I'll be better at it.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. This guy trained with like FBI and SWAT teams, right? So I'm pretty sure you can pick up the Twitter and Facebook quickly.
Well, I'm telling you, there's some things about Facebook and Twitter that are more complicated than doing those stories. But I even when email came out, I had some difficulty in grasping that. Now I'm great at email, and of course then now there's social media. So, but I'll get it, and I'll tell you, if you wonder if you're one of those people that doesn't embrace it, and you want to have a background in journalism and want to be participatory in journalism, you have to embrace it. You really do. If you want to be relevant today, you have to make social media a part of your regimen.
Right. How have your experiences been like growing up and just going into this kind of field when there weren't that many figures that you could have related to?
Well, you know, the industry's changed quite a bit since I first started. When I first started, there were almost no Asian males in the industry. And just a very few Asian females. So I think AAJ has done a great job of kind of helping people learn, train, integrate into the profession, and have a presence. But you know, I grew up in Texas, where you know, there wasn't a whole lot of Asian presence, period. There's a lot more now that the technology industry has come to that state. But back then there were very few Asians, and so people really didn't understand me, understand my family, where I came from. And that was back in the days when people would, if you were Asian, they just called you Chinese. Just because did
they call you Chinese?
Oh, occasionally, yeah. You were called, you know, you thought every Asian back then was was Chinese, you know. So there was kind of an ignorance and a narrow-mindedness growing up in primarily homogenous Caucasian areas. You know, times have changed dramatically, where the world is so much more educated on ethnicity and so much more diversified. Newsrooms now have multiple ethnicities, whereas back then it was almost all exclusively Caucasian and Caucasian male. So we've seen the face of television news change dramatically, and as a result, you know, some of the more ethnic issues have come out into the news, and people as a whole are a lot more educated about, you know, what ethnicity is, what it means, and you know, and how diversified and the wide range of people that are out there in the world.
What is a piece of advice that you can share with the viewers out there?
Finding success in this industry is not about one gigantic opportunity. It's just about taking very small steps, slowly getting better, and having patience and a belief in yourself that you will get better, and those small steps add up. I think everybody wants, like, you know, I'm listening to the YouTube seminar here, and you see other people who want to have that big break. They want to go from college to New York and be the #1 anchor, and they think they could do it. And the reality is, it's extremely unlikely. And a better way to go about it is to understand that it's, you know, small steps make one big step, and impatience is often a good thing. You want to be successful. You want to be big. You want to have that big opportunity, and hopefully the impatience will drive you to where you want to be a better journalist every day, and you want to be better at what you do, and you want to advance where you are a little bit every day.
For you in your life, did you come across times when you kept felt like, oh, is this the right path?
Oh, of course. It's such a competitive industry that there's always going to be self-doubt, especially when you're throwing out your resumes and you're not getting a bite, and maybe some of the input that you do get is not real positive, because it is such a subjective thing. Getting people to like you or watch your stuff. Even today, I get a lot of people who will hate one of my stories, and then I get a lot of people who will love it. So you got to understand that that's, you know, that kind of consumption is a very subjective thing that you can't control. So along the way, you have to realize as long as you're progressing, as long as you're getting better, as long as you have the drive, then it's going to come together for you. Giving up is the worst thing for you. There were moments in my career where I thought, okay, I'm getting out, I'm going to go back to school, and I'm going to do something else. And then looking back on it, you're like, you're so glad you didn't do it. You came that close, but now looking back, it seems like I got here so quickly. But the reality is you didn't get here quickly. You struggled, you fought, you had a lot of those days with self-doubt, but you eventually, the belief in yourself won out, and you stayed with it, and you kept doing those small steps.
I think I think it's really nice to hear, especially for anybody who's going through their core life crisis. I mean, midlife crisis, or that that fork in the road. Really quick, last thing, on a bad day, what do you do to cheer yourself up?
Oh, that's a tough question. I usually watch sports and go completely away from everything, and it's not just on a bad day. On a day where my ideas are not working, my thoughts are. Let's say I have to write something and I got writer's block, big time. I just drop everything and I walk away from it, and then kind of reboot the brain. Don't push it too hard, and then go back to it, and then things get better. And a real great rule in life that I think almost always fits, and that has to do with all the good things you do and all the bad things you do. And that rule is things are never as good as you think, and they're never as bad as you think. So when you've had a really, really bad day, let's say on the air, walk away, and if you want to go back and torture yourself and look at it and see what you did, then you go, it wasn't really that bad. It wasn't as bad as it felt. And on the flip side of that, if you did let's say, a really awesome job on a story that you think is great and it was really well received, walk away from it, go back, and while you're thinking that you're a superstar, you watch it, and you start saying, well, I could have been better there, and I could have been better there, and does this have a lasting life? Are people still talking about it? Then you start realizing, you thought it was great, but it's not as great as you thought it was. And then just when you thought it was bad, not as bad as you thought it was. And it kind of keeps you grounded. It keeps you moving, and it also keeps
for more.
Right, and it keeps you humble too at the same time.